Hi, I'm Christy, and you're watching the first of a 5-part video series to serve as orientation for prospective foster, kinship, and adoptive parents in the state of Arizona. So you can make an informed decision regarding your next steps. We will cover the purpose of foster care, types of foster care, the licensing and adoption process, expectations of DCS, what our children are like, current placement needs of DCS, and the adoption process for children who are in foster care. Above all, it is so important to remember that children come into foster care through no fault of their own. Before we go any further, let's take a look at what is foster care. Foster care provides a temporary home for children who are not able to safely live with their current family. A foster home is a temporary placement for children who are in the custody of the state. The primary goal of foster care is to reunite children with their family. And foster parents are expected to assist with that reunification process. Now let's talk about the types of foster care. First is unlicensed kinship care, which provides care to a kinship member without a license. Second is licensed kinship, which provides care to a kinship member under a state-issued license. Third is licensed foster care, which provides temporary care to children who are not related to the licensee. It's important to note that there is no such thing as unlicensed regular foster care. Next is respite foster care, which provides care in your home for children who are otherwise placed in another foster home. Lastly is in-home respite care, and this is where you provide care for children in someone else's licensed foster home. Now, what are the general expectations of a foster parent? First and foremost, you are expected to treat the children in your home as if they are family. At the same time, you have to understand that they are with you on a temporary basis. The foster parent is expected to support the plan to reunify children with their families. As a foster parent, you'll be expected to interact with the biological family within safe parameters. You will follow the case plan that is created by DCS. You'll be an active participant in meetings that involve the child in your care. This could include school meetings or court hearings, doctor's appointments, and more. Lastly, you're expected to be an advocate for the children in your home, ensuring that their needs are met. Those are the expectations for all kinds of foster parents. But when it comes to the expectations for licensed foster parents, the list goes on. You're expected to continue meeting the licensing requirements of the Department of Child Safety's Office of Licensing and Regulation. You're expected to report any changes to your home or living situation to OLR and your licensing agency. You're expected to be available and willing to accept a child into your home with very limited information. You're expected to be flexible in your preferences and honor the parameters of your license. And you're expected to understand that with a license comes a responsibility to assist DCS in providing care for children in foster care. So what skills do you need in order to become a foster parent? Well, first and foremost, you need to be able to work in partnership with a team. You need to have a not give up attitude. It's important to be flexible and patient. You need to be totally committed. Did I mention that you need to have a never give up attitude? And in case you missed it, a high level of commitment. One more time, a never give up attitude. And you have to keep a sense of humor. Now let's talk about the basic licensing requirements. A foster parent can be single, married, or just in a relationship. If you're married, both parties in the marriage must complete all licensing requirements. You've got to be at least 21 years old. You have to pass an FBI and local criminal background check and have a level 1 fingerprint clearance card issued by the Department of Public Safety. You have to successfully complete the training. You have to be medically qualified by a healthcare professional. You have to be able to meet your living expenses without relying on the stipend provided by the state. You've got to participate in an extensive interview process with a licensing social worker. You have to pass a home safety inspection, and you have to be present in the United States legally. Now, what can you expect when it comes to the time frame for foster care licensing? The length of the process depends on how quickly you and your agency complete the training, paperwork, and inspections. 4 to 6 months is the general time frame, but major holdups might include failure of life safety inspection, incomplete information provided when requested, and Level 1 fingerprint clearance cards for all adult household members. Now that we've talked about what the licensing requirements are, let's talk a little bit about what the children are like. It's imperative to remember that children in foster care have experienced trauma. Children come into foster care through no fault of their own. They were removed because they could not safely remain in their home. Removing a child from everything familiar to them is traumatic. Children who've experienced trauma may not be able to express their feelings with words. So they may express themselves through their behaviors, which might include silence or anger, tantrums, or regressive behaviors. Now, when you become licensed for a specific age range, and it's important to know what the need is. By far, the greatest need for foster homes in Arizona is for children aged 13 to 17, followed by children aged 9 to 12. A common misconception is that we have great need for foster placements for infants. While indeed we do need families willing to take infants, this actually accounts for less than 1% of our total need. As we conclude this video, I wanted to share a few things to keep in mind as you consider foster care licensure. First, children who've been removed from their homes by DCS have experienced significant trauma. Their behavior will reflect the trauma they've experienced. They will not necessarily be grateful to you for providing care for them. Lastly, foster care is meant to be temporary, and there will most likely be a day when you will have to say goodbye to a child that you've come to love. As I conclude this first part in the series, I hope that I've given you some things to think about and consider so that you can make an informed decision regarding your own journey as a foster parent. I can tell you from personal experience that foster parenting is not always easy, but it is incredibly rewarding. I've told people a number of times, it's both the hardest and the most wonderful thing that I've ever done. When you foster a child, you won't just change their life, they'll change yours forever. Thank you for watching, and thank you for considering becoming a foster parent.